Hi, you're listening to Light Lounge with Dimitri K, broadcasting around the world, award winners and emerging artists from the city beautiful Orlando, Florida. Salvador Dali never lacked self-confidence. His flamboyant style and eccentricities were fundamental to his public persona, and he often declared himself the greatest artist of modern times. Every morning, upon awakening, he famously said, "I experience a supreme pleasure, that of being Salvador Dali." And I ask myself, wonderstruck, what prodigious things will he do today? His public image often distracted from the fact that he was an artist of incredible talent, and Dali talked about art and life in a very meaningful manner, while never self-effacing. He admitted that, like anyone, he made mistakes, never tried to correct them, he wrote. On the contrary, rationalize them, understand them thoroughly. After that it will be possible for you to sublimate them. Well, many artists start with self-confidence, flamboyant style and eccentricities, but at the end of the day, what matters is what meaningful art they will produce. And speaking about art and music, let's see what prodigious music is coming with our musical guest tonight.
Whoa, whoa, yeah.
Andy Mitran, musician, composer and producer, he has been on the show many times in the past. Last time especially memorable with his collaboration with Al Jewar on the Precious Stones album, now with a solo record, More Now Everywhere. Welcome to Light Lounge with Dimitri K. Andy.
Hi, Dimitri. It's great to be back here on the Light Lounge with you and all of your listeners. I'm pleased to be able to be here, and I'm eager to share my new record, More Now Everywhere.
Great to have you on the show, Andy. Let's start with listening to Shape Shifting. We just listened to the shape-shifting first tune of the album, very sensuous, elusive and transcendental, as if you tried to keep a scoop of water in your palms. It is shifting away from your fingers. You either have it and you don't. Is that how you felt when you recorded it?
Well, that's certainly the effect I wanted to have, Dimitri. But it doesn't feel like that at the beginning. I put these pieces together, one instrument at a time, and this one perhaps I started with a synth pad and then added piano and then wrote a few of the phrases and then looked for another sound, another instrument to continue the melody, and another, and pretty soon the tune was evolving and the shape was shifting.
Exactly what we mentioned at the beginning of the show. No matter how flamboyant or intentional is the artist, what matters is what's happening at the end.
So it is the effect I want, but it didn't feel that way at the beginning, and it becomes that as I go. I didn't think of this song was going to be called Shape Shifting, but the result that emerged as I worked on it and as the song started to feed back to me what it wanted to do and where it wanted to go, it started to feel like shape shifting and certainly ended that way. It is one of my favorite pieces, so I appreciate what you said about it, and it was exactly what I'd hoped you would feel.
I guess the listeners would feel the same. Listening to Ocean and Sky. Ocean and Sky, another subtle, fluid and delightful piece of music, exuding charm and hidden intensity. Your album is pretty much nature-inspired, and in music, not like in painting, we cannot print an image on a canvas, we print impression on the image in sound, isn't it?
That is exactly right, Dimitri. An oil painting, you perceive it in one moment. You open your eyes and there it is. Whereas a piece of music evolves over time, and we paint with time, and you don't really see the full picture until you've gotten very far into the piece and it's grown as you perceive it. It's grown in your perception. This piece, though, to me, occupies a special place because it is very warm and I feel very expansive, but it's also very powerful. There's a lot of power in the djembes, in the low drums that I've played, the hand drums and the djembes, and also the expansion comes from the orchestral elements, the brass that I bring into it, and also in this one, there's a fretless bass, and the fretless bass in this piece is very melodic and carries a tune forward in a wonderful way. But there's also these marimbas, which are really important. There's two marimba passes in this spaced out left and right channel, so they interplay with each other and create a sonic clarity that is complemented really well with the expansion of the orchestral brass and the rooting of the drums. So this piece is a very special one, and I hope your listeners enjoy it.
I believe the listeners are already enjoying it. And as a producer, musician, and performer on this entire album, what is the significance of the album's title?
Well, I was sitting with a good friend just the other day. He picked up the record. I handed it to him. He looked at it and his brow kind of furrowed a little and said, "What does this mean?" Well, to answer that, I have to go back a little bit and talk about the heart of this album, which was inspired in large part by the work of Eckhart Tolle, the famous author, whose writing has had a profound impact on me. I first encountered his breakthrough novel, The Power of Now, many years ago, and I continue to return to it. I revisit all the time, mostly because I need to. I find it is a great rebalancing for me whenever I find myself feeling out of balance. His perspective is simple and powerful. The present moment is all we ever truly have. More now everywhere is my way of exploring the many dimensions of that now. It's not always easy to achieve being very present and in the now, but it feels different depending on when that is. Sometimes it feels expansive, other times solitary. It can be peaceful or searching, it can be luminous or very still. That feeling shifts depending on how and when I'm able to access it. My hope is that you'll take this music with you into your own quiet personal spaces and allow it to accompany you there. These pieces aren't meant simply to be listened to, but to be inhabited. I hope they carry something meaningful for you.
Well, finding truth and light, a journey to your deepest self, obviously, is the background of your album. Listening to Memory Road. You're a longtime musician, obviously remembering the stages the music industry went through. Vinyl, CDs, cassettes, iPod, and nowadays mostly streaming. How that affects you and at what timeline you felt more comfortable?
Well, that is really an interesting question. When did I feel more comfortable? And I guess, there's been different phases and I felt different levels of comfort at different times. But early on, I was a drummer and I just played drums. And the instruments that were in the bands that I was in were the same as the instruments that were played by other bands for the 30 or 40 years before. And so it was just a matter of taking those same instruments and being creative and finding ways to be excellent with those instruments. So it's kind of, there was more known, and it was a more known entity, and we had a chance to grow expertise in our specific instrument more, I'd say, in the 70s. And once the 80s came and synths started to evolve and drum machines and samplers came around, then things changed, and it was very exciting because this was a new place and a new unknown. But we never got the chance to really develop the level of expertise in those new technologies, because within a year or two, they changed radically again, and we were thrown into that. So, so we didn't get to be as excellent in the 80s with our instruments as we did in the 70s with the traditional instruments. Same for every time periods it's followed. The tools that we have now, that I'm using now, I would have laughed if you told me that I would be able to do what I'm able to do today. These tools do magic. I wouldn't have believed it possible. It was like science fiction. But now, we're able to, like one guy, this album is basically one guy with the exception of one song, Cut 8 Memory Road, where Craig McCreary played guitar, but the rest of this was just me, and I can sit and create this, and my reach as a composer is exponentially larger than it's ever could have been ever before in time. However, it's new every couple of years. It's new, so I guess I'm getting better and more comfortable being in places of the unknown.
Yes, the unknown is exciting and scary at the same time. But we have to live in now.
I'm learning to learn better, and I'm learning to relax about the paradigms shifting more, and learning to just enjoy it and to try to become the best I can at it. And that being said, I'm still developing my skills from those synths in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s, and I still keep trying to shape and get better with those technologies as well as embracing the new ones. So it's a fascinating question, but it's a really exciting time. And so I guess there was more comfort in the 70s, but there's way more excitement right now.
I find now exciting too. Years ago, I wouldn't even imagine that I can record an album with different artists from different continents, and nowadays technologies allow us to do so. Listening to Breakers. Andy, tell me how one working day in the studio looks like for you. Do you create preliminary notes or go in the studio and record until it feels right?
It's really hard for me to tell you how one day in the studio looks. There's so many different facets of what I'm doing. If it's a writing day, there's still many different ways that I can start that. Sometimes I start writing on a synth, like an electric piano. Sometimes an acoustic piano. Sometimes I'm writing on marimba. If I'm finding that I'm not feeling inspired with the piano, I will change to marimba, where there's two mallets and then there's this. I can apply the skills I have as a drummer to find rhythmic interest, and that leads me to another place. So I guess it's wherever the inspiration is when I'm sitting down to write, is where I go, and that can be different from day to day. And then there's all these different facets of production. I got a new piano a couple years ago, which is a Yamaha Disklavier, which is a piano that I can play, and it sends MIDI to my computer while I'm playing it. So once it's in the computer, it can be edited and changed as the piece grows, and then I can play it back on the piano and then record it. But to make it sound great, I run 6 different microphones on the piano to get the best sound possible that I can get in my facility, and the piano performance has to be edited a certain way so that the sustain pedal doesn't thump and that the dynamics aren't out of hand and all of this stuff. So there could be a whole day just working on piano tracks. And then there's, if I'm playing drums, that's a whole different day. Just setting it up, getting 13 microphones on a drum kit, sussing all that out and making sure that all works, and then being a drummer for a while. And then, so that's a very different kind of day. And this song, Breakers, is one of those. There's only 2 songs on the record where there's a proper drum kit, and Breakers is one of them. So I experienced that with this tune. And I was, wondering about how the live drum kit fit into this record. There's 2 songs, Memory Road, Cut 8, and Breakers. And I was kind of going back and forth wondering if they fit, but a friend of mine told me that I should emphasize them and let them, bring them up and let them be a bigger dynamic moment in the record. And I think that served the dynamic arc of the album. I got to thank my friend Tom Eaton for saying that to me. Excellent mastering engineer and musician in his own right. So a working day in the studio for me is, and then that doesn't even talk about the editing components. Once a part is down, how to love it appropriately to make it as expressive as possible. And that can be a very long process as well, but a joyful one that I love to do. So one working day in the studio, it's really hard to even answer that. There's so many different types of days I have. I guess that's why I don't burn out on it, because it's constantly shifting.
Well, the answer of one working day for you in the studio was like a master class. And I believe many musicians are listening and they will enjoy what they heard. Thank you. I double-checked with you to make sure that the next title is pronounced well, Isolada. Your previous album was with Al Jor. This one is solo. Is there a dream team you'd like to work with on your next production, Andy?
It's funny you ask about Isolata, and you did get the spelling right, Isolata. Sometimes you start every piece and you have to name it. So it was a working title, but it felt like alone, isolated. And I thought it was an interesting word, but it was a made-up word. And I found out later that it did mean that in other languages. So I let the tune be called Isolata. But you're asking about, who a dream team that I'd like to work with on my next production. And that next production is already underway. It's a new album with Al Jewer. He and I will be recording till we're unable to record anymore, and we're excited about that record. It's going to be an ambient record, and more ambient than where we've been lately, and that's exciting because we do that very well. And the tunes are great, so I'm excited about those. I have worked with wonderful, great players and heroes of mine, and people I never thought I'd get the opportunity to work with. Miriam Stockley, Tony Levin, Hans Christian, just great, fantastic players. But I'm at a phase right now where I'm really enjoying finding and working within my own expressivity and developing my own sounds and finding out what that sounds like. And with the result that I achieved in this record, I'm very, very happy with it, and I'm eager to explore that more.
I'm pretty sure creative people like you would never stop to reinvent themselves. And as a multi-instrumentalist, what do you consider to be your voice, your main instrument in your recordings?
My voice is always something I'm searching for. And I think of the voice, and you might think of the voice of a piece of music as the thing that carries the melody. It's are you a flute player and the flute is your voice? Are you a keyboard player and the keyboard is your voice? Or what have you? But I approach my music from the perspective that, well, first of all, I'm always searching for my voice, but it seems to be the combination of many voices. I like to weave together many fragments of many different instruments to carry the melodic thread of a piece. So the pieces are very complicated weaves in many ways, and I think this album is a great example of that. The melody in any one of these pieces is a great example of the weaving. I may start with a piano motif that transitions very seamlessly into a marimba motif that goes into a guitar and then ends up in a flugelhorn. And all four of those together make one contiguous piece of melody. So that creates an interest for me and helps me be more expressive. But it's always I'm always searching for a synth that's more expressive, or some other way to bring more emotion. In my mind, there's really nothing more expressive and passionate than a human voice. So I'm always looking to find instruments that can get closer and closer to that. And in lieu of that, I find myself creating these complex weaves that help me create that interest and expression that I'm looking for.
From what we heard so far, we found multi-layered expression. Congrats for that. And now, with the title The Last One, let's wish Andy Mitran success with his album More Now Everywhere. And for those of the listeners of Light Lounge with Dimitri K interested to purchase your album, where it is available?
Thanks for asking, Dimitri. Anybody who's interested in buying this album or downloading it can find it at andymitran.bandcamp.com. That's ANDYMITRAN.bandcamp, BANDCAMP.com. And when you're there, please follow me, and then you'll be able to hear when there's a new record coming out, and you'll get special email messages and learn about new things that are happening. So thank you again, Dimitri. I appreciate the invitation to be here, and I'm so glad to be able to present this music to your listeners. And thank you all out there very much.
You're very welcome, Andy, and wishing you good luck. Life is better than listening to a commercial radio station playing endlessly a few resembling songs. If you feel that way, you came at the right place. Light Lounge with Dimitri K plays the best award winners and independent artists around the world. Those who have listened to my shows throughout the years know that I like science, and many times I quote scientific books. I find parallels between music and science. I recorded my new album Shades of Elegance with musicians stretching all over the world. Maybe this interconnectedness was a reflection of the universal quantum field's entanglement. In this album, I feature the talented South African saxophonist Karen de Vroep. Different artists took part in different tunes. Here is the title tune, Shades of Elegance. On the sax, as I mentioned, Karen de Vroep. On the piano, Charu Suri. On the guitar, Van Galen. Bass guitar, Joseph Patrick Moore. Drums by Jeff Stern. On the oboe, Jamie Streffeler, and mix mastering by John Valery. On the next tune, Set of Emotion, on the piano is the talented John Giannoni. Next tune is called The Lost Gardens. This time around on the piano is Alvin L. Giles. On the eloquence of glance, John Giannoni, and this time around, on the accordion, the artist Zuppe. On the title Stone Beach, we have Russ Hewitt on the guitar, and on the cello, Tess Remy Schumacher. And on the last tune, called Cross Atlantic, we have a guest pianist, Vivian Feng Liu. You're listening to Light Lounge with Dimitri K. It's time to say goodbye, and remember, hesitation is temporary, music lasts forever. Most of the artists you heard on this show are independent artists. And if you like some of them, you can Google the name and find them on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, and the rest of the digital media, and that would be a great support for them. For any comments, suggestions, and feedback, please email me at kopublishing@gmail.com. I'm Dimitri K, broadcasting from the city beautiful Orlando, Florida.